This is a poem I want you to read for this week called Call Me Brother by Gregory Scofield. The objectives are the poem, terms. I think there's only one, discussion on word choice and vernacular, and a discussion on the poem. So, vernacular refers to the language or dialect spoken by the ordinary people in a particular country or region. It's also known as everyday language, colloquial speech. So it's like the opposite of poetic or elevated prose. The poem is called, of course, Call Me Brother. When he's using the word Indian, he's referring to it in the terms of First Nations or Métis, not in terms of people from India. In Canada and the United States, this is a pejorative negative term when applied to the Indigenous people. You never know when you're talking to an Indian, he says wisely, because I'm only half, which we both know is not the real issue, but the way I look, which makes it next to impossible not to spot me sticking out at a powwow because I have the tourist look that offends my darker relations, who don't see me as related, but a wannabe muzzling up around the drum to sing 49ers, except I feel the beat like my own heart racing when curious eyes study if I am just mouthing the words or actually belting them out because I am a true die-hard skin with blue eyes that really screws up the whole history book image, except my roots can't be traced to the Bering Strait, but 9 months after European contact, which to this day hasn't been forgiven, even though we all have some distant grandpa who at one time or another took an Indian wife, which we tend to forget because anything but pure is less than perfect, and we all secretly need someone to be better than. So the next time you see me up dancing, call me brother. So you'll notice he has an incredible speed with this piece. So if we look at word choice and vernacular, he really sets the tone there at the beginning with First Nations or a Métis man saying to the speaker of the poem, you never know when you're talking to an Indian. And then the speaker of the poem addresses this person directly at the end of the poem, which kind of works as bookends. Uh, so the next time you see me up dancing, call me brother. So he really sets the tone with that pejorative term and these kind of bookend terms. He relies upon common words or everyday speech and sometimes slang. So slang is, of course, those sections like sticking out, wannabe, muzzling up, 49ers, belting them out, true diehard skin, screws up, and brother, which is not used in a sibling sense, but in a racial context. He uses also cliches, history book image to this day at one time or another, less than perfect. So he's doing kind of a variety of things, and he's breaking a lot of rules in this piece, like the use of cliche, an abundance of slang, the kind of everyday speech. And also, again, like how he's building up the speed in this piece. And this is an example of breaking a lot of rules. So he breaks all the grammatical rules. It's basically one sentence. And of course, it isn't grammatically one sentence, but the way, and it never has a period. So we're looking at the only punctuation we see is in that opening segment. You never know when you're talking with the quotation marks and the comma. That's it for punctuation. Um, and notice also, again, like Alperti, we're looking at a complete lack of sentimentality or melodrama. He uses his modifiers like Purdy pretty sparingly, even less than Alperti's piece does. And of course, past all of that, hard work and really interesting breaking of convention and rules is the content and how Schofield's addressing something that is delicate and troubling. And he does it with just this straightforward, unflinching grace. He takes ownership of his race despite the fact that he can clearly pass, which means that he is often mistaken as Caucasian or a white settler. Um, so it's the content is can be quite contentious, but the way he handles it, it isn't. So I really hope you take these poems on board and learn from them. Try to move yourself away from sentimentality, away from what we would call purple prose, like a really elevated kind of notion of what is poetic. One of the reasons I assigned to these two readings is because they are clearly poetry, but not in a poetic way that we would normally be accustomed to, or what we stereotypically think of as poetry. So in that way, I think they're really, really excellent pieces, really wonderful poems. In any event, thank you and take care.